I just finished reading a book by a woman by the name of Rosario Butterfield. It's a book that she titled The Secret Thoughts of an Unlikely Convert. And in this book, she describes her train wreck conversion to Christianity. She begins her story with these words: "As a leftist, lesbian professor, I despised Christians. Then somehow I became one." Every Christian has an unlikely story. I've said this before, but it bears repeating. Unless you see your salvation as beating impossible odds, you haven't seen your salvation. And through the harlot Rahab, we are again invited to look at, to remember, to rejoice in our unlikely salvation. Like I said, last week we'll be spending this Advent season looking at Jesus' genealogy found in chapter 1 of Matthew's Gospel. More specifically, looking at the 5 women that Matthew chooses to include. Jesus also chose to include them too, I guess. But I believe that Matthew, inspired by the Holy Spirit, included these women because their stories prepare us to celebrate the birth of Christ. They tell us something important about who Jesus is and why he came. To better know and understand Jesus, it's important for us to know where he came from. And so today, we're going to be looking at the story of the second woman mentioned in Matthew's genealogy, the woman Rahab the harlot. And as you heard the story being read, weren't you thinking, what an incredible story? Like, this would make an awesome movie. I mean, it's got action and drama and suspense. I picture Reese Witherspoon as Rahab because she's trying to make some more edgy choices as an actress. And so she's Rahab, and you got Sir Anthony Hopkins as Rahab's father, and you got Keanu Reeves as Joshua, and then the 2 Israelite spies played by Jake Gyllenhaal and Carrot Top. I mean, I've spent so much of my prep time imagining this movie, and I wish you all could see it because it's really great. But when I stopped playing Hollywood movie producer with the story and I just kind of sat in it, I began to discover something pretty significant about salvation, about what it means to be saved by faith and what real faith looks like. If we could take a bird's eye view of the city of Jericho, and if we were told that there was only one believer there, only one whom God would save, my guess is we would overlook Rahab. And maybe for some of us, we might even think she's the last person to possess faith in the one true God. This week, thinking about Rahab and her life, one of the things that stood out to me about her was that she was the breadwinner. That, she's the one with the house. She's taking care of her father and her mother. She's looking out for her brothers and sisters. If you remember last week, as we looked at the story of Tamar, we saw that in that time, in that culture, without a father or a husband, a woman was in an extremely vulnerable position. But here, we have a woman who's made it work, who's the provider. And it's interesting that her father's still alive. I thought about that a lot too. It made me wonder how Rahab ended up in the kind of work that she did. And I thought a lot about her dad. Maybe because I'm a father of a daughter and I'm about to be a father of another daughter in a few months. But I spent a lot of time thinking about what that would have been like for him. We live in such a pornified culture that has us believing that women who work in professions like Rahab are choosing to do so. That they're liberated, that they're owning their sexuality. You see, that's the only way the pornography industry can thrive in mainstream, which it does because it makes billions of dollars each year. It only thrives if we believe that lie. But you see, I don't believe it. I don't believe for a second that any woman who finds herself in a position like Rahab doesn't long for her dad to come bust open the door, sweep her up in his arms, and rescue her.